All right, we're back for another episode of Life Changing Challenges, and I am super honored to have Angela Beyer with me. She is a renowned trainer and professional health coach that has had a specific journey herself, which is what we're going to hear about today. So, welcome, Angela, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Brad. I'm super excited to be here.
I am too, and of course, I have no idea what's going on with me today. This is just like killing me. I'm gonna pause. Okay. So, Angela, I always ask the same question to everybody. It says, can you give us a little bit about where you grew up? What was the compliment to your family? What was your childhood like?
Okay, my childhood. Yeah, I would say I grew up very differently than most people in the US. Yeah, born and raised in Germany, and I grew up in a very rural environment. I grew up in a village. That's how I grew up. And we had like horses. I was horseback riding, very active child, very traditional, like yeah, family conservative. And how can I explain it? Like, I was never exposed to any processed food or, to be honest with you, if I was hungry, my mom said, go outside in the garden and look for carrot. And I pulled it out of the ground, washed it, and ate it. Like, it was very different than, in the US. And like I said, because of the horses, stupid example too, but it's funny. We made our own oats
Uh-huh.
for the horses. So we had a field of oats, and I just grabbed a handful for breakfast and I ate it. That was my breakfast. Very wholesome, natural. I didn't have any sodas. Like, this was something special, like for Christmas or something like that.
Right.
Just not exposed to any of it. And like I said, very traditional conservative family. And what happened when you grow up in my teenage years, I always wanted to, like, impress my dad, my mom. I always wanted to live up to the expectations. And back in the days, I remember that, like, when I finished school, my dad actually said, I have three choices. I become a nurse, a teacher, or a secretary. That's it. That's what you're gonna do. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, like I said, very,
Right.
traditional. And he wanted just to have a good job, and like that I can make a living and find a husband and have kids, and just, it was pretty much programmed. And I never
Have
questioned
brothers
it.
or sisters? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you have
Yeah, I
brothers
have
and
a
sisters?
hmm
Okay.
yeah.
And did he have
Um,
an impact on your life as well?
my brother
You talked about,
is.
yeah, you talked about your mom and your dad. I was just wondering if since you have a brother, did
Oh
he
yeah.
have an impact?
Oh yeah, I was always with my brother. We are like 1 year apart, 1.5 years
Okay.
apart. So I cannot remember a time without him. We talk every
Aw.
day, and he's pretty amazing, hard worker, and he's still in Germany. He helps out my mom. My dad passed away, and he's special, very special. Love him. So he became like a car mechanic and got his master's in repairing cars. Again, traditionally, he has his own shop,
Hmm.
all down to earth. He was more into motocross and car racing. He was always the car guy. So I was always into sports, always doing something, if it was gymnastics or running, jumping, you name it, I did it. Playing tennis, I was just loving to be active. Like I said, I did a lot of horseback riding. So that was like my growing up. And well, I finished school, became a banker. And again, pretending to, I just wanted to live up to the expectations, and I never questioned it and I never asked anything. What happens too in that time, I gained a lot of weight from being super active and then going to college and getting into the workforce. I was not active anymore and I gained a lot of weight. Very typical. We know it all. And what I did, unfortunately, I just tried different diets. I just
Hmm.
went all crazy and I just pushed myself. And it's a funny thing when you start your first diet and you see success. That's what happened to me. You get compliments. and you're like, oh my God, you look fantastic. And then you just dial it up a notch and dial it up a notch. And you don't even realize that you're actually developing an eating disorder. Like, this is how it happened in my case. I just ate less and less and less, and I got just very skinny, and I over exercised because I'm like, oh, I gotta get this off. And it's always, again, to the outside, you want to look perfect. You want to have like the approval. You want to look good at work. You want to like always present a certain picture, what was like around you, the pressure of society, basically. Like I was so consumed with getting approval from everybody that I didn't even realize I was eating myself up, literally. And I over exercised to, I mean, I started out in the morning with a 10K to warm up. Then I went to work every day. Yeah. And then in the afternoon, I met my best friend, the Stairmaster, and I was 60 to 90 minutes on the Stairmaster. And then I did group classes if there was something. Yeah, it was insane. And I, like I said, reduced my food intake. So I went down to like a very dangerous weight. And what happened was, I remember that at a mountain bike ride, I was mountain biking with my boyfriend at the time. Very intense. Again, there was no mercy. He didn't care. He wanted to, yeah, it was again this pressure. Oh, you can do it. And I literally remember that I felt like something warm around my nose. So I started nose bleeding, climbing up a hill, and then I felt I couldn't breathe anymore, and my lung literally just collapsed, and I passed out.
Oh my God.
Mhm. Then I woke up in the hospital, and of course, the first question was if I know how much I weigh. And the doctors didn't let me go on a scale. And they were like convinced that I had major issues and yada, yada. And I didn't even see it that way. Yes, I did have major issues, but I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I wanted just to leave the hospital. And that was like the first breakdown I had. And I said, okay, I can't continue doing this. I lost all my friends by being on this frenzy of weight loss. And like I said, I tried every diet, you name it, like I did it. The no fat, the Atkins, the whatever it was, whatever I found in a magazine, what promised a quick result, I was trying and doing. And depression, anxiety, I had it all. It was rough times. I lost all my friends. I was very lonely at the time. And the interesting thing, what I remember about this whole thing, is that I was consumed with food, even though I didn't eat it. It was the funniest thing. All I was thinking about was food. And this is one thing. If you don't eat, your body at one point will get its food. It's, you can have whatever willpower you want. At one point, it will break and you will go and eat.
Oh, I can
And
imagine. So
yeah,
just to step back just a minute, because you had mentioned that in Germany that you were pretty much, I don't want to say segregated, that's a bad word, but you were in rural, so you basically had your family, right? You had your family, you had the farm, you had the horses, and that's pretty much it. So what were you exposed to anything outside of that? TV, radio, magazines, anything like
yeah,
that while you were growing up?
yeah, but very limited. Not, I mean, no computer games, no social media,
Right.
no, nothing. I watched TV, but it wasn't really interesting to me. I was always, to be honest with you, more interested in education. Like, I wanted to learn. I always wanted to experience new things. And like I said, I was more into sports. So that was
Right.
like my happy place, so to speak. That's where I felt comfortable being active and doing something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going to see where I'm going with this. Okay. So, all right, so you get to college and now do you find a culture shock? Because now I imagine that now you're exposed to a lot
Right.
of these other things.
Well, I felt pressure and overwhelmed. And like I said, I wanted to make friends. And I thought the look is important. Like how I look is the way of getting friends. And I
Mhm.
always thought like I'm not good enough and I can like, yeah, build a friendship on impressing other people just by how I presented myself. Yeah. Hmm.
I see
Hmm.
that. So yeah, and you're starting to see where I'm going, right? So you're
Yeah.
not exposed. Now you're exposed to all this, and now you want to, like you said, find friends and stuff. Did you find a symbiosis with what now you were seeing in the culture, far past your rural, where you grew up in the rurally, now all of a sudden you're exposed to all this? Would you say that played a big part in you wanting to attain these friends this way, or did you feel like that was just because of the way you grew up, that it was rural, it was lonely? Now got a ton of people around you, so that's how that came apart? Or so is there a relationship between what's being exposed to TV, now your magazines and all this stuff, and the reason why you started to wanting to impress everybody?
Well, I think it was more that I was a very insecure person.
Okay.
I was living my authentic self. I didn't know where my place was in the world, so to speak.
Okay.
And well, again, I saw magazine pictures, I saw all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, they look really good. Well, what's happening with me? I always saw myself as not looking good. I'm like, well, hey, wait a minute. What's this? I have to step up, like I have to
Yeah.
for myself to get to that point, and yeah, that's how I was. Oh my god, the fitness magazines I read, yeah, tons of them. Yeah. Hmm.
So that's exactly, and that's where I see what's going on today. Like, I've got clients myself. I go about it a different way than you do. And it's just a different vehicle. You've got, weights and bodybuilding and nutrition in that sort of way. I go with it just in a different vehicle using endurance sports. Not that much different, just a different methodology, and that's it. But I've noticed the same thing is that, especially because I also coach high school, that the girls are like, oh, I'm looking at, these magazines, or they're looking online and stuff, and they see these beautiful women that have a certain bone structure, not to mention Photoshop. And they start to, they ask me, hey, coach, how can I drop a few pounds? How can I do this? And I'm like, no, you don't need to do that. You're strong and you're excelling. So why would you change anything? Well, I don't look this way. And I'm like, so I wanted to clarify that this is not, out of the norm, you know, and even to somebody that's a professional, right? We see that.
Right.
But you turned it around. Okay. So you wake up in the hospital
Yep.
and they are probably telling you that you've got an eating disorder. What
Yep.
happens after that?
So I was very fortunate that I had a lot of support by my parents. So I said, I'll fix this myself. And I went to a nutrition school, and I actually, after work, I went back to school and I learned to be a nutritionist in Germany, got my license just to learn everything about nutrition so I know what to do. I'm like, I'm not messing around with this. I have to get, again, if I do something, it has to be 100%. So now I'm not doing some crazy diets anymore. I want to know. I want to know the science behind this. I want to crack the code, and I want to do it the right way. And that's what I did. So,
Wow. Some people go out and hire nutritionists. You say, screw it, I'm going to become one, and that's how I'm going to fix myself. That's amazing.
that's how I did it. I'm like, okay. Then I started food journaling. I started to write down what I ate. I got my macros down. I wrote down the emotions, how I felt after I ate. I started journaling my workouts. Actually, yeah, setting goals and comparing with this food intake, this is how my performance changed. With this food intake, this is how my body changed. So I started actually journaling and documenting everything for myself that I learned how it works. What happens if I reduce the carbs a little? What happens if I put more carbs in? What happens if I play around with the protein intake? And I wrote down, this is how my muscle grew. This is how I was able to train more. So I learned how to, yeah, sculpture my body, and my body became actually it's like artwork. People paint pictures, and I started to create a body.
So So you felt like the journaling and doing the comparison, that really like gave you the ability to see what was going on inside your body with certain macros.
Correct. So I literally self-studied. I
Right.
was my own, how can I say, like experiment, not experiment, but I just, like I said, other people just paint pictures and I created, or my body was my canvas, and I started sculpting and I saw what's possible, and I was pushing myself again. Like I was pretty good at it and I figured it out. And it's something also what it's nothing comes quick. You need patience. You need to dial it in and see what goes on. And this is not something what happens in 3 days, 10 days, or whatever, back in the days, how they call those crazy diets. No, it's a lifestyle. This is what I learned in that time. And this is something what I have to do on a daily basis. This is nothing where you fix it and you're done. And it's something what you want to do for the rest of your life. So you have to find a way to enjoy this and be in a happy place. So that was the first time I actually was in a happy place, because I felt the energy, I felt the success, and I was enjoying my food. That was when I built a healthy relationship.
Ah,
Mhm,
that makes sense now. So you're able
mhm.
to actually build a relationship with food that was a positive, and now that you had more of a connection, knowing what max were with what workout would actually get you to the best performance.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
can you give us just a couple of things and maybe what you found? Hopefully you remember. It's like, so if you were going to be doing cardio the next day, would you like change your carbs for the day before? Would it be the day of? How does that work? And then, of course, then if you decided if you were going to be doing a strength training the following day, would you increase your protein, reduce the carbs? How would that work for you?
Okay. So what I did, or what was very successful in my case, I had low carb days on days where I didn't work out. And well, I had different formulas, but I had a workout plan where the days I worked out, I had a higher carb day, and the days I didn't work out, I had a lower carb day, and my protein intake was always the same amount with every meal. That was non-negotiable. I always had the same protein intake. Then what I also tried was very successful. I had 6 days a low carb day. And then the evening before, like I picked one day where I had a longer cardio
Mhm.
day, like where I went on a run or something, and I did a carb load meal the evening before, and it was wonderful. But I was,
I can imagine. I
but
can
I,
imagine.
yeah, but they don't like clean stuff, sweet
Right.
potato, oatmeal, bananas, it was just a carb load meal. What I hate and what I don't like is if people talk about cheat meals. I never had a good experience with cheat meals, meaning that one meal where I eat whatever I want. What happened to me, I tried that, and out of a cheat meal became a cheat day where I started in the morning and I kept eating all day. And that was one meal. And I'm like, okay, I can't handle this. This is not good for me. And I'm not a cheater, so I'm not doing a cheat meal. Done with that. So I canceled that out of my life, and it was very helpful. I just have, like I said, a higher carb meal when it makes
Uh-huh.
sense. You have to earn your carbs. And otherwise, I don't have high carb meals, but I always have them in every meal. So for me, a threshold is like 50 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. That's where I can handle very well. The lowest I go is probably 30 grams of carbs.
Okay.
That's low. And other than that, I don't go very much higher than that with the carbs, and always low glycemic index. I don't spike. I don't like, my body doesn't handle it well if I spike up the carbs and have a high blood sugar, and then I don't play around with that, like with the insulin and like before and after workouts to get the blood sugar up or something. It's not beneficial for my body. I know other people have a lot of success with that. I don't do well with it, but it could be because of my background. I have to be very careful with my sugar and flour intake. These are foods what trigger So I can't do the roller coaster. I have to be very balanced.
Ah, I see. I see. Um, so that's interesting. So is
Mhm.
that so I want to delve into that a little bit. So you said flour, sugar, that type of thing. Is that medical, or is that, you said, is that your trigger that just kind of makes you just keep going?
Exactly. That's, I think, from having that eating disorder. Like I said, I was like restricting myself. I was not eating,
Hmm.
then I was binge eating, and I can eat a lot of food. uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a trigger food. Can't do. As soon as I get to that, like foods, I can't stop. You know what I'm saying? Like it triggers, and then I'm having a hard time, and I just don't expose myself to it. It's not
Uh,
gonna work.
self. So maybe one of the tenets you kind of maybe teach, I don't know, because I do it too, is self-actualization. You
Mhm.
know that those things trigger you. So you
Right.
like, I reduce them very a lot. You make sure that you don't have them, or you cut them out completely.
I cut them out completely. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is that the tenet that you teach as well?
No, because everybody is different and everybody has a different susceptibility.
Okay.
It depends on the person. I have a lot of clients who are, I would call sugar addicts. They go through the same thing, but some it doesn't bother them at all. You know, like for example, I'm good with stevia. I can use stevia as a sweetener. It doesn't trigger me. I have clients it triggers them. Can't even use stevia. So, like I said, that's very personal and that's my personal story. So I can only tell how I feel with this. My clients are all different and I dial them in depending on what goes on in their life. Yes.
That's crazy. I personally can't stand stevia. I think it tastes bad. So I'm not triggered by that at all because I don't like it.
Maybe that's why I'm
Uh,
like, I just give in and okay, if I want, I don't know. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, no, I got to tell you, because if you give me something and it's got one of the major artificial sweeteners in it, and I could tell you, if I can taste it and I can tell you that it's aspartame, I could tell you that it's sucralose, and I could tell you that it's stevia, like immediately. I can't,
Right.
and the chemical processing that's got to go on with that is just got to be ridiculous. I mean, I know stevia is a plant, sucralose is
Yeah.
supposed to be made from sugar, but there's still some major
It's all not
processing that's got to go on with it, right?
It's all not good. I mean, by the end of the day, if you look at sugar and flour, it's a white powder. And maybe that's like saying it in an extreme way, but cocaine is a white powder as well. And that's how you look at it. You know, there is no, it's, that's what it is. You know, I mean, come on, just don't do it.
I get it. Okay, so you went to school, you became a nutritionist, and you've gotten all that knowledge. And so, what happened with your diet at this point? Now, did you fill back out? Were you able to conquer the demon of the disorder?
That's an interesting, yeah. So I was doing really well. And I became a manager in a huge bank. And there were only two women in the whole bank who were in management position, and I was one of them. So I
Hmm.
had a lot of pressure. And unfortunately, I was in a unhealthy, abusive relationship. So again, you build that house of cards and it crumbles, you know. And again, I went back to the food thing. It was just terrible. And I said, that's enough. And you hit a wall so many times, like at one, and again, not my authentic self. I'm trying and I'm not getting anywhere. It was just too much. I said, okay, I put a hard stop on it. I quit my job. I broke up with my boyfriend and I decided to go to the United States to learn English. It was
Oh,
English as a second language. For 3 months, I wanted time out. I had gained a lot of weight again. I was very frustrated with myself, very upset. And yeah, that's how I started in the US.
okay, great. So, can I ask, where did you go in America when you came over to the States?
Okay, there was an international college in Naples, Florida, which offered a visa for students who want to come over and learn English. And that's how I ended up in Naples, Florida.
Excellent. Is that where you are now?
Yep. Mhm.
Oh, okay. You're right down the street. I'm in Tampa. Yeah. So that's fantastic. Okay, great. So you go to the school. How long was the school?
3 months. And by the end, it was the last week of that course, I drove down the street to my apartment and I stopped at a bank because I love the state so much. I wanted to stay, and I asked for an internship at a bank again. And actually, they said yes. I got an internship.
Wow.
Yeah, for 18 months. And here I am again in the bank working as a personal banker, which, yeah, I did way more in Germany, but okay, I wanted to just get the experience. This can help me for the future, I thought. And I learned business English. So let's do that. And yeah, back in the days, I made $400 a month at the internship.
At the internship.
Yeah. So that's what I did. Again, banking, because this is what I was taught to do. I thought that's a solid job. That's what I'm okay with. And I was good at it, but again, not what I meant to be. And I talked to my immigration lawyer, how can I get a work visa after the 18 months so I can stay? And she's like, well, there's no way you can get a work visa as a personal banker because there's so many personal bankers in the States. You have no special skills. You can't stay. You have to go back to Germany. And I said, well, what do you mean with special skills? She's like, well, if you have any special skills, then yeah, you can get a visa or even a green card. And I'm like, well, the only special skill I have is lift things up and put them down. I'm really good at bodybuilding. And she's like, okay, if you can get a world champion title for the United States, then you can get a green card. And I'm like, that's a stretch. Okay. Are you serious? And she's like, yep. It's okay. I can only try. I can only try. God, what can I lose? Nothing. The only thing is I'm not making it, and then I have to go back to Germany. So, okay. I pulled out my old journals, what I did in Germany. I was overweight at that time, I wasn't in shape. So I dialed it back down. The only thing I could afford was a gym membership. And all I developed like this tunnel vision. I built that framework. Diet, exercise, sleep, diet, exercise, sleep every day. And I saw my body actually changing very quickly. And I was in such a happy place doing this. And just this journey of transformation gave me such I don't even know, like a happy feeling. It was all like clockwork. It was going so well. So I prepped for Miss Florida. That was my first show in natural bodybuilding. I competed in Miss Physique. And yeah, I won Miss Florida, got qualified for Team USA. So I kept prepping, got ready for Miss USA. I flew to Los Angeles. It was a really big show. And in bodybuilding, you show up in teams, like they have like their posing coach and their trainers and nutritionists. And here I came with my trolley, with my bikini and a blanket and my food containers. And I'm like, I'm just here doing my best. And I remember.
So lift, eat, sleep, repeat. Yep. Get onto Team USA, fly to Los Angeles.
That's what I did. And again, I was in my zone, and that was a great day. When everything goes well, when you do a competition and you're just in that flow. I had a good day, good stage presentation, and yeah, I won Miss USA. So then I was qualified for Miss Universe.
Wow.
And for that show, you have prejudging in the morning in black bikinis where you get compared. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening, you have like the show where you do your posing routine, and there you can like bling up the bikini. And I got an American flag bikini for that show. And I picked the posing song, Here She Stands.
Oh, beautiful.
About the American flag. So that was my moment. I wanted to represent the United States. So, you get into those details and you just enjoy everything all of a sudden. Like you wanted to make it real special, real good. And my goal was at the Miss Universe to be able to be in the finals and wear that bikini. That was like my thing. And I kept prepping. And it was, it gets long, like week after week after week. And again, I did not get tired of it. I loved doing it. I had such a good time at just practicing my posing routine in the morning. But I practiced it every morning. Like if you would have played that song in the middle of the night, I would have jumped out of bed and would have done my posing routine. That's how I practiced. I was
Oh,
like, nothing will go wrong that day. I'm like, this is like, nope, I'm gonna be good on this day. Like, yeah, and that's what I did. I enjoyed the show. And again, I made it to the finals. And I remember when they announced like the fifth winner, the fourth, the third, the second, I check my number and I'm like, oh my God, I'm Miss Universe. I won Miss Universe. I can't believe it. So, yeah, I was able to get the Miss Universe title that day. And yeah, then I
wow.
changed career finally.
Yeah. So what year was that by chance?
2009.
2009. That's what I should have put down at your titles. I should have put professional health coach, comma, Miss Universe, 2000, 2009. That's amazing. Talk about, I mean, that is the idea that you became fit and became a bodybuilder, a world-class bodybuilder out of necessity. Most people, they go to the gym and they want to feel, it's either aesthetics or they're in some sort of sport, or or sometimes it's just strictly just to be healthy. I have no idea how those people do it, but that's just them. But you know what I mean? And here you're going to the gym because this means either you get the world title or you get a national title or you go home to Germany.
Right.
That is, wow. I mean, talk about, hitting your goals for a certain reason. You are a case study for planning and being successful at attaining your goals. I
Right.
mean, that is outstanding, because that's what you said, right? You said I need
Mhm.
to get this. I'm going to the gym, and that's my life. Eat, lift, sleep, repeat.
Yep. I mean,
So
yeah. The interesting thing about this whole journey, when I got the title, everybody's like, oh, was that the happiest moment in your life? I felt relieved. That's what I felt. I felt relieved when I became Miss Universe. The happiest time in my life was prepping for it. The journey, that was the happiest time. The daily grinding and knowing what I was doing and enjoying the process, that was the happiest time. When I got the title, I was relieved. It was not the happiest
I
moment.
I feel that I totally feel the same way. It's about the journey, not the finish. And a lot of times the finish is just an opening to another journey.
True.
So, yeah. So for you, I mean, you get Miss USA, next journey, Miss Universe. For me, in my clients and myself, we're habitual racers, right? So it's like Ironman 70.3 Augusta. Well, you finish that one up, and then you train for Ironman Wisconsin, and then this marathon and that marathon, and then it's a constant journey. And I don't know where I'd go without it, because I just made fun of just earlier. I was like, me going to the gym just for fitness, it doesn't do it for me. There's no purpose there. At this point in time, you had a purpose for going in. Did you continue to compete after that?
Okay, so what happened was they offered me a pro card. And as a pro, you have to compete all over the world and so many competitions. And for me, having the green card and being, again, able to finally settle down, get like a house, get a routine, get a normal life where I can actually breathe and like just establish myself. I wasn't established. I just came to this country. So I said, I'm not going to take the pro card. Yeah, I know. I didn't do it. And I said, I want to settle down and I want to actually focus on becoming my personal training license. And I want to make this a career. I do not want to go back to banking. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to think about how do I make this work or how can I want to build a career out of personal training, coaching, and helping others to get there. this was my dream, and that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
And
Again,
that's, yeah,
yeah.
that's another piece of self-actualization, right? I mean, most people would be like, oh my God, I'm going to get a pro card. I can actually get paid to bodybuild.
Mhm.
But you were like, no, I want to help people get to feel like this, right? Is that kind of where you were going?
Absolutely. Because again, I love competing, don't get me wrong, but where does it get me? And I I have a trophy what I dust, you know. I mean, I have those trophies, but they don't bring me the joy as when I help clients, helping transform themselves and helping them to get to the next level. And I wanted to dive deeper into the science of health and know more about it, because what I'm really good at it, and this is how I started out with personal training, I can get whoever shows up to a certain body fat level or a certain look or whatever in a certain amount of time, healthy or not. I know how to shred somebody down, so to speak, and get ready for something. So I had athletes at the beginning, and then a lot of like women who wanted to prepare for a special moment, their wedding day, their anniversary, their 50th birthday, 30, whatever it was, getting them ready for that. So I was, like, this is one of my specialties, getting people ready for a certain day. And that I can do in my sleep. Yes, because that's what I did all the time. But I wanted to actually, and this is where I'm coming from, like my own personal struggles and how hard it was and how I battled. And so many things were unnecessary in my life in like my 20s, which what I experienced I should not have. And giving women the self-esteem and feeling that they are worth it, that they can do whatever they want and accomplish their goals in a healthy way. That was actually more to my heart. That's what I wanted to do. Educating. Yeah.
Where, so where did you learn that though? That where did it come to a realization that you wanted to help other people? Because it's what I'm looking at here is that you're a banker, then you went to the gym, you became Miss USA, Miss Universe. There wasn't really, and you did it all yourself. So it wasn't even like you had interactions with a nutrition coach and with a posing coach with this. You did this all yourself. So here you are internally. Where did it, where did that desire come from to help other people?
Um, because a lot of people ask me questions, and when I was able to help them, I actually enjoyed that process. I'm like, oh my goodness, this person, I really helped her or him, and they appreciated it, they enjoyed it, I made their life better. And that's where I was like, this is where my joy comes from. I have so much more happiness. And again, I learned where my happy place is and where I'm authentic, where I'm real. And this is where I belong. And this is what I like doing. And that's just what gives me more energy and more, power to go to the next level. It's not about me. It's about helping others where I get my joy from. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, there's a lot of good coaches out there that say service to others will bring back
Oh, yeah.
rewards to you threefold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I totally get that. Can you expound on that first experience of you giving some advice and seeing the results of that advice? You don't have to give names or anything, but it's just like,
Yeah.
what
No.
advice did you give them? And then how long until all of a sudden you saw them and there was a difference and they told you about it and you were, and you were happy?
Yeah. I had clients, they came from really big numbers, really big numbers. And they, this is interesting, they went to a lot of coaches and they said no to them. They didn't want to train them. They didn't want to help them. They said, well, you never change. You can't make it. You can't. Yeah. And I actually said, no, I'm not giving up on you. We're going to go. We are doing this together. And I saw that if you support a person, even when they think their body cannot do more, it's all in here. It's the willpower, it's your mindset. It comes from your mind first. And when I helped them and supported them and they felt the support, it's unbelievable how much they can put in and how much they can change. And when they are rolling and when they are in a flow, it just keeps going and it gets better and better. And like I said, I have clients, they lost 150 pounds or 100 pounds, like really big numbers, and it's life changing for them. And yeah, it's a process. And the thing is, too, I know that it is a process and I don't give up. At whatever time they need. Isn't that also when you're a coach, you explain, like you have a goal setting, you have the plan, and it's from A to B, a straight line, and yada, yada. And I know the straight line I explained won't happen. It won't. And that's okay. We will have stops, we will have detours. It goes up and down and left and right and whatever. It's okay. It's okay. But we dial back in and we continue and we start fresh. And it's just until we are there where we want to be. And if it takes longer, if it's a straight shot, good for you. We did it quicker, but it's all good. And I think people feel the pressure or expect too much. It's okay to go on a slower pace or in a different way. And for one person, this works better. And for another person, another way works better. I have clients, so fine, like they can do cold turkey. These are the types of people, they rip off a Band-Aid, they jump into the pool. And then I have clients, they go into the pool step by step and a little colder and a little colder, like, and that's how their diet changes and their workout changes. We go a little slower, but we get there. It doesn't matter. But this is where I come in and I just give them guidance and support. And like I said, I wish I would have a plan I can pull out and say, well, that's the plan. That's what we're doing. No,
That never
everybody's
works.
yeah.
Yeah, that never works. Yeah. So when I first learned that, I really was going to coach I was doing the Chicago Marathon to get ready for my first Ironman, which was the next month. So I knew that I wasn't going to be running the Chicago Marathon like balls to the wall. You know what I mean? It wasn't going to be a race for me. It was a prep to get me to Ironman. Well, I had gone to the Chicago Marathon with a charity group, a charity team, Polycystic Kidney Disease Foundation. And 20 of us raised something like $25,000 or $26,000 for the charity. So we finally get to race day. And there's this woman, and she's like 53 years old. Her name's Karen. And 6 months prior, she had done the Paris Marathon, and she did it in 5 hours and 25 minutes. Very respectable, not a problem. But I knew while training with her, I knew that she had more. And it was just in my head. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going easy for me. So I'm just going to bring her along with me. So I grabbed Karen. I says, Karen, I said, you're with me. I'm doing this as a training run. And I have a strategy for us. We're going to follow the strategy to here from there. We crossed the finish line like this in hand, 4:32.
Wow.
6 months. She took almost an hour off her time. And that's strictly because of coaching. So, of course, her best friend comes up to me and she goes, oh, my God, Karen is on cloud 9 right now with what you did for her. And that just it just totally got me. And she goes, you should coach. And I went, I'd love to, except I don't have any credits. I really don't have any credits. And she goes, well, next month you will. Because I did the Ironman. Now you can say, okay, a guy who finished the Ironman, now he can coach, and it worked. And I haven't looked back. Just like you, you found that one person. So I always like to throw in a little bit of something of my own, even though I try to keep it more about you, but it happens once in a while.
It's wonderful. It's great though. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love those stories of when coaches, they find that, okay, they don't stop being an athlete, but they transform and they're like, all right, no, I'd rather help other people. And that's, that's the type of people, I tell people, I'm like, if you're not that type of person, that's okay. It's okay. Right. If you love your fellow man, but you can't teach them, that's fine. It's fine. There's not everybody can do that. There's only so many people in healthcare for a reason. So, but no, I applaud you. I applaud you for that. So let me ask you, what's your best case study ever? What was your most powerful client and the most, most powerful results from a client that you can think of?
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah, like I said, I have a client who lost, actually, yeah, she is not done yet, but she lost 150 pounds. But I have
Amazing.
clients who won championships. Like I prepped a really good guy who won Mr. Georgia and Mr. Florida. Yeah, like I have athletes, and mostly though it's weight loss. And it's interesting because the numbers, it's interesting. This is what is more important to me. It's not about the numbers, but I have, for example, stroke clients. They were in a wheelchair. I got them out of the wheelchair and I got them moving again, and I got them being more functionable, being
Right.
able to do things on their own. I had a client who was in a really bad car accident, broken spine. And when she came, she was in a wheelchair, and we started. I mean, that was a long journey, but walking again, training everything again, retraining everything again. So, yeah, those are, I would say, the more impact cases
Yeah.
what I train.
That's
But
that is absolutely incredible, and your story is unbelievable. Let me ask a couple more last questions to wrap this up. So, as we recap about like first steps when someone realizes that it's time for them to do something about their weight and their fitness, it seemed to me like the first thing that you would have them do is to journal their food. Is that correct? Would you say that'd be the
yes,
first thing?
yes, journaling is very important. And what I do, I create, again, from my experience, I create a framework, because what I would like them to do is everything automatically. I want automaticity, so they are not stressed. What happens is when you have to make a lot of decisions during the day, and we get bombarded with text messages, emails, phone calls, taking care of the kids, the family, having a job, yada, yada, yada. So we make so many decisions. I don't want my clients to have to do like more decisions come if it comes to food and exercise. I want this on autopilot. So what we do is a lot of like food prepping, and I like them to write down the food what they're going to eat the next day, not what they ate.
Amazing.
Mhm.
That's
So
fantastic.
they're writing down what they're going to eat. They prep it in the evening, and all the worry is gone. They know what they're going to do. That's it. They have no stress of making any decisions about their diet. Worry free. Takes so much pressure off, and they can stay on track. Makes a huge difference. And that's what I like. And same with the workout. It's all automated. So they don't, it's non negotiable. That's what they do. And when they create those habits, it's habit stacks. They know they go to the kitchen in the evening and they, boom, write their journal, prep their food, get it ready, done. And they do this every evening. They don't have to worry about it. And that's how they get successful.
That's incredible. So they're not really journaling because journaling is usually after the fact. They're
Correct.
actually planning.
Yep.
They're planning. They're not. Oh, wow. I mean, yes, okay, they're going to journal the workouts because they're going to sit there and say, okay, well, listen, she had me doing, 125 pounds, 5 reps, 5 reps 3 times. I couldn't do 125. But I could do 120. So I write that down. That's journaling. I see that,
Yeah.
right? Planning plus
Yeah.
journaling. But the journaling of the food, which is not really journaling, it's planning.
Mhm.
That is, you just blew my mind. I mean, because I never thought about it that way. Yes, you'd prep and you journal it later, but there's always something in the middle. Like, you know what I mean? Like I prep my lunches, but as far as breakfast goes, it's like walking to the kitchen, doing my breakfast. Oh, I feel like oatmeal. I feel like eggs. I feel like this, that today. And then dinner, maybe you've pulled something out for dinner. And then you're like, well, I put out some steak, but maybe I'll have a potato. Well, maybe you shouldn't have potato because there's too much starch. You know what I mean? You go that way. But if you sat there and going breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, pre-workout, post-workout, done.
Correct.
That's out. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, the guesswork is out of the way. And what happens too when you journal after the fact? Well, I have to write it down, but that's where I crashed and I had ice cream. And
Right.
well, I don't know, you haven't written it down. It's not written down. You're not going to do it. So
Right.
much more behind it, so much more power behind it. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing. So ice cream and stuff. So obviously you're talking. Yeah, I mean, we talk about balance and everything else in our treats. Do you actually have them plan that too? Like it, like it's like if you said that, okay, well, listen, I'm going to plan to have ice cream this day because the next day I'm going to be doing this, and that gives me my treat. But you had mentioned that yourself, you can't do cheat days, but do you have them plan that?
Okay. This is okay. In what stage of the journey we are? When we're starting
Okay.
out, we're not having ice cream.
Right. 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 Right.
This is also so fascinating. I love the human body. Like when we start out, the diet is whole foods. A
Hmm.
lot of different foods, but it's whole foods. If you cannot pick it, don't eat it. Very simple. I make it very simple and easy. Now, when they are in maintenance and they have a healthy metabolism because we fixed it through training and the diet, you add foods back in. And we do this very slowly. And
Hmm.
we focus, we journal it, we look at it, and we make adjustments. I have clients, they added 10, 12 different foods back in to their diet in a regular day, and they're not gaining anymore. But they have the metabolic flexibility to be able to eat all this. And that's fine. They can do that because they're healthy. They're at that stage and their metabolism is fixed. I have so many where the metabolism is just shot and have insulin resistance. Well, that's a different stage. No, I would lie to you if I say, yeah, well, let's plant some ice cream in there. No, it's not
Right.
gonna
Right.
happen. I have to fix first the metabolism, and then we can add and play around, and it's a dance almost with the diet then, and they enjoy it and they know how to handle it then because they learn so much during that journey that they know what to do. It's very fascinating. And the body, yeah, is amazing.
Wow. Okay. So first step is you would sit down with them, you decide what foods so they're going to Whole Foods, and then you're going to, or you're all Whole Foods. What you say, like you said, right? If you can't pick it, don't eat it. So that becomes that starts it out, and they plan it, and you
Mhm.
get and they get started on this habit of planning and meal prepping.
Right.
What is the first step when they go to the gym? What's maybe that first workout or the first orientation to the gym?
Okay. Yeah. Again, this is such a mindset thing. But let's say I get a woman who wants to lose body fat. She wants to lose weight. That's what they tell me. She wants to lose weight. Okay. You don't want to lose weight. You want to lose body fat first. So, that being said, we are so focused on that scale, which I'm not. I want good muscle quality first because the muscle is the organ of longevity. Without good muscle quality, you can't achieve anything. No health goals and no transformation in your body. So, what you want is basically in your muscle like a fillet steak. That's how it's supposed to look like. No marbled, fatty, God knows only what. No, we want the fillet steak. Okay. So, in order to get this, I want you to lift heavy weights first. So, meaning, yes, I
Oh,
know most women are scared. They think they're going to bulk up and all kinds of things. And no, I want them to lift heavy weights first, short workouts, not too long. But, and to be honest with you, for some women, just doing a body squat is heavy at the beginning. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not talking about doing a leg press with 800 pounds. It's not what I'm talking about, but I want to challenge the body. I want you to get to the point where it gets difficult after 10 to 12 reps. I
Okay.
want you to have good form. And at the beginning, I start out with total body workouts to get everything going. I want to create a flux in the muscle. I want that you actually, the carbs you have stored in the muscle, I want them to be squeezed out with them. Because what happens is with insulin resistancy, as you know, like you produce the insulin and you have the carbs in your bloodstream from when it comes to the muscle, and the insulin, the key to open the muscle, the lock is just clogged up and the insulin just hits the muscle and nothing happens, and we keep having the carbs floating around the bloodstream, hits the liver, spills over, and we gain body fat. Not a good scenario and not healthy at all. So what you want to do is you want to train that muscle to actually work out those carbs, squeeze them out, work them. And then you get the insulin going again, and then you get the carbs back into the muscle, and we create that flux, what helps your metabolism, what helps your endocrine system. I mean, the bones, cognitive function, like all the good stuff comes with it. But this is the basic. And I don't want you to over-exercise. We go step by step. Again, how much you can handle, but I want you to challenge yourself at the gym. And the better you get, the more I split the body parts up and I play around. It depends also how much time they have.
Right.
And I like also cardio. Very important. And it's just the balance of it all, like you have to. I'm a rower, I'm on the rowing machine, love that. And I go all out on this one. But
Yeah.
whatever floats your boat, but you
Right.
have to have a balance. You want to train everything. You have to have a strong cardiovascular system, strong heart in order to build more muscle. But if you have more muscle quality, guess what? Your body composition is going to change automatically. You will lose body fat. And if you have the right amount of protein, if you have a balanced diet, the body just follows the protocol. It just happens. Like there is really no, how can I say, like nobody should be worrying about it or being, the body does its work. It always does.
That is some great advice. So basically, it's track what you're doing, plan it, track it, execute, and then maintain and have that balance is basically what you're saying. That, yeah, so I was blown away by you saying to go lift heavy right away. Because I mean, as a trainer, I was always taught, no, you don't start heavy right away. You start light for the first couple of weeks and then go heavy, after you developed some of those neural pathways. You're saying, no, go heavy. And I applaud that. I totally applaud that because obviously you're getting the results. So anyway, Angela, I have to tell you, I am so excited and so honored that you joined us today. And I think people are going to get a lot out of this. So if somebody wants to either hire you or ask you any questions, what's the best place for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, health coach Angela, and I have a website, houseofshape.com. And I do monthly challenges where we reset your metabolism. That's like a 3-day challenge. It's fun. It's a good environment, and you can ask me anything. And yeah, we just get going. It's every month.
Excellent. All right. So you heard that, folks. Houseofshape.com, health coach Angela on Instagram. I will link all of that in the show notes. And before we go, Angela, you got to flex for us. Come
Uh,
on. Come on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, everybody. Thank you very much, Angela. I really appreciate you joining us. Everybody, we will see you in the next one. Thank you.